So, guys, this was the moment Mr. Dele Farotimi called on Tinubu to let the Igbos alone. So, we know that we have so many patriotic Nigerians, like the person of Dele Farotimi. He's a man that speaks truth. Mr. Dele Farotimi is one of those people who speak truth to power, and they don't care about what people think, provided they are dishing out the right words. So, guys, take a look at what Mr. Dele Farotimi said.
I would like you to hear what Dele Farotimi said about this issue in Nigeria between the Northerners and the Igbos. If something should happen in the country, who will attack first? Watch this video.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but if this mess continues, the problem that will consume this government will start in northern Nigeria. It's not going to start in the east. The Igbo man has more or less taken a position. I was always a victim. Go and solve your problem. Leave me alone in my little corner. If you lie, steal all the money in the world. You still take that money to a market to go and buy something. And who will you find in the market when you get there? You find the Igbo man there. Whether it's food you are buying, whether it's building material, whether it's car, you find the Igbo man is there in the market waiting for you. So he's already in a position of advantage. So why would he disadvantage himself unless you people show him a readiness for change? The Igbo man learned that the government has nothing for him. So he learned to survive on his own. You will rarely ever find an Igbo man applying to the civil service or looking for a salaried job. So the average one, even the ones I went to university with, they will go and attach themselves to somebody in the market. They will learn a trade. So they learned to do without government. They learned to discount the government completely. Which means that the Igbo man is better equipped than any other Nigerian to cope with our current circumstances, where the government has become completely useless. The Igbo man was already prepared for the uselessness of the government. So now that he is prepared for it, and everybody else have now decided to stigmatize the Igbo man, I can't blame the Igbo man for turning around and saying, it's none of my business, oh, enjoy your government. He didn't enjoy anything from the government before. So for somebody, and I'm talking about the average Igbo man who is like me and you. I'm not talking about the Ojius or Kalus of this world or the Okorochas of this world who have always fed on the grievances of Ndigbo and made money by appeasement of government and then presuming to speak on behalf of. I'm not speaking to those ones. I'm speaking for the average man on the street who grew up believing that he has no portion in Nigeria, which was what fed the Biafran spirit and the demand for Biafra even 50 years after the Civil War. So I'm not speaking to the man on the street of Alaigbo. I'm not speaking to the trader in Alaba or at Aspanda or at Ladipo. All those ones, they have always lived with the mentality of being victims of the system. So when a victim of the system is telling you, leave me out of your protest, go and deal, because he wasn't gaining anything from the system in the first place. So if he wasn't gaining anything from the system in the first place, he has nothing to lose if the situation becomes, the only thing that is happening now is that more victims are being recruited into the Nigerian mess. So why should he, who was always a victim, further victimize himself by joining those he believes are responsible for his victimhood? Unfortunately, it only assures the victimization of everybody. But it is now incumbent on those of us who know better to help him to understand that, yes, we understand that was yesterday. But for us to all come out of this together, you would have to move away from that pain to now walk. Now at least everybody is now suffering. Yorubas will say that it means that until suffering is democratized, it is not possible to end it. The suffering in Nigeria has now been democratized. Long ago, I predicted that the Nigerian revolution will start in northern Nigeria. The only reason I said so at the time is because the North had always been the reason we could not find common purpose to fight the evil. But now that the person in power in the presidency is not a northerner and is at best a nominal Muslim, and the suffering has now been fully democratized, The northern street, I'm not talking about the northern elite, the northern street has no interest in forbearing and continuing to suffer. Why is it that all of a sudden everything that they tolerated during the years of Muhammadu Buhari is no longer tolerable? Have you considered that? Look, I don't know how long it's going to take, but if this mess continues, the problem that will consume this government will start in northern Nigeria. It's not going to start in the east. The Igbo man has more or less taken a position. I was always a victim. Go and solve your problem. Leave me alone in my little corner. If you lie, steal all the money in the world, you still take that money to a market to go and buy something. And who will you find in the market when you get there? You find the Igbo man there. Whether it's food you are buying, whether it's building material, whether it's car, you find the Igbo man is there in the market waiting for you. So he's already in a position of advantage. So why would he disadvantage himself unless you people show him a readiness for change? So that is where we are right now. It might seem like nothing is going to happen, but something will definitely happen. This system is not sustainable.
So guys, I'm going to let you watch more of this, but I just want to say that Mr. Dele Farotimi is just trying to tell Tinubu that he might think the Igbos are his enemies, but honestly, the Igbos are not his enemies. Rather, the Igbos are more friends to him because his destruction might end up coming from the north. So for me, I think Tinubu should embrace every part of this country and at least make sure that everybody is being carried along. Let me allow you watch further.
And no support from the federal government. Look what they have done from themselves. But what we consistently and continuously do is to signal hatred and violence against the group. And this thing has to stop. We can't continue a country. Listen, if you don't want a group of people to be a part, let them go then. I don't understand this. Every turn, there has to be an excuse to single out an ethnic group. I give you a typical example. Just like the past elections, I heard people telling, how can the Obi, for instance, have scored 98% in certain states to the north? How can he have scored 90%? Muhammadu Buhari, under a PDP-led federal government, scored over 90% votes in 4 northern states. Go and check the results in Katsina. Go and check the results in Bauchi. Go and check the results in Jigawa. He scored over 90% in those states under the leadership of the PDP as the federal government. So it was okay for Buhari to score over 90% in his own core constituency, but something utterly went wrong when Obi did it in the southeast. This ethnic group have always been part of a nationalist political party and never really have ever built a regional movement. All the times they have supported a political party have been national political parties right from the NCNC.
Yeah, sure.
They have a stakeholder in the PDP. They don't have a regional party in the sense that we had ACN in the southwest, in the sense that they had AMPP in the north. They did not have the behemoth of a regional political party. So where is all this hate coming from? Where is all this hate coming from? They tell you now, for instance, that they have a rabid mob who are harassing people on the internet because their candidate lost. We have very short memories. In 2011, a candidate lost in this country and over 800 people were massacred in violence in the north. I so know this because I personally saved 11 core members and were hidden in my father's hotel in Kano. So what are we saying? 800 people were massacred because of the ambition of somebody in this country. And suddenly we are losing our minds because we are saying people are insulting you online. And they're a rabid mob. Let us stop this. Let us stop this ethnic dog whistling. Let us stop this ethnic baiting.
Yeah, it just came. He asked me, what is this position of the Igbos in Nigeria today? And I tried to answer that question. Some people have quarreled with the word the Igbos created, Lagos and so on and so forth. I think that was taking the thing out of context. What nobody can deny as a fact is that the Igbos have contributed immensely in the development of Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and many other cities. And I don't see why anybody should quarrel with that statement of fact.
Well, the fact is that people will wonder what evidence there is. Because, I mean,
I can give you.
You're a former governor.
Yeah.
I mean, what you say has a lot of weight. And so when you say that the Igbos built those cities, you mentioned it was taken out of context. When you say they built those cities, people say, what evidence is there to support that assertion? And did they build those cities to the exclusion of other ethnic groups, including those from the cities that you mentioned?
What I can tell you is, in any city that the Igbos have contributed greatly in building, they have come very close second to the indigenous population, and sometimes neck to neck. Let's take the two first cities that I mentioned. You know, in Lagos, if there are 10 markets in Lagos, 7 were built from swamp by Igbo traders. Not to talk about manufacturers in that city, not to talk about those who have built residential houses and those who have built hospitality industry. In this city, Abuja, this has been said by even former ministers of the Abuja Capital Territory, that about 70% of the hospitality industry in this city are owned by Igbos. And also about 70% of the plazas are owned by Igbos. Not to talk about houses that are up for rent.
So businesses in general.
Yes. These are things that are common knowledge to anybody in this country. And I don't see why we should quarrel with that. Let me even ask those who are quarreling with these facts. How many cities in the Southeast have people outside the Southeast contributed in building? And the answer I have for them is that, well, you see, business goes where there's infrastructure. The seaport in Lagos is about the only seaport that's operating in Nigeria. And the Igbos do a lot of importation of goods. So they have to settle where the seaport is, build markets to sell whatever they have imported into the country. And then whatever they have manufactured, they can easily send them along the West African coast to other West African cities. The same thing here. You cannot compare the infrastructure that the federal government has built in Abuja to any other infrastructure in the Southeast. And people being entrepreneurs, they take advantage of it. And they come and they help to develop the place for their business. And I don't think anything is wrong with that. Every other person is free to do so. But it's just because these people are entrepreneurs. They take risks. And are ready to go away from home and face challenges. And whatever they meet
so
there,
guys, we all know that Tinubu promised that he was going to restructure Nigeria. And one of the things that was being debated, before even he was sworn in and even during the campaign, is on the issue of the Igbos and the marginalization, restructuring and all that. And it is still baffling Nigerians why this administration is not even talking about those things at all. I mean, calling people to the table, let there be a round table to discuss on the way to unite this Nigeria. We all know that recently the North said if Nnamdi Kanu is released, that they themselves, they will start their own agitation because they believe that they don't want to have anything, in common with those who are calling for the secession, in the Southeast. But you know that Biafra of a thing is an ideology. It's not something you can just erase from the minds and the brains of people. This is an ideology. This is something that people are so attached to it. So guys, in short, without wasting much time, I wanted to just take a look at what Mr. Dele Farotimi Farotimi got to say about all this. So guys, you have seen it for yourself. Honestly, if Tinubu can really take his time to make the Southeast to become a real part of Nigeria, because as it stands now, the Southeast is feeling, so marginalized. And even if Nnamdi Kanu is released from jail today, that does not end the struggle, because this is an ideology that is, deep down the heart and minds of people, and it's something you cannot easily take off from the lives of people. It's something that they are so much attached to, and that is why people are saying that it's not just a matter of, even if you release Nnamdi Kanu, yes, the court has given them the opportunity to go settle out of court. They can go to the Attorney General, who will take the matter to Tinubu, and they will discuss all that on how to release Nnamdi Kanu. But the struggle does not end there, because this thing is like a spirit. You cannot easily kill it. You cannot just destroy it. It is something that Tinubu has to see the need to call these agitators, to the table, and know exactly why they are agitating, and try to address some of the challenges that they will be putting forward. But if it's just a matter of you don't care and you think you are going to have a united Nigeria, in short, since after the APC assumed office in Nigeria, Nigeria has become more divided, more disunified, and all that. And you can see it playing out, in the lives of people. Honestly, these are some of the things that Tinubu has to start doing if he really want to set Nigeria free from, some of the things that, that we are experiencing as a result of people feeling, marginalized. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.